Can you guys hear us? It's the final stretch. We can push through here. All right. Good afternoon to the 2021 graduating class. After what felt like a decade-long pandemic, we are finally gathered here today to celebrate our long-awaited achievement. It surely was a difficult senior year, but we wouldn't be true graduates if we didn't take the time to walk across this stage and acknowledge our successes.
We're so grateful to be in this beautiful place on the traditional unceded territory of the Abenaki people and the Wabanaki Confederacy. J'aimerais aussi prendre un moment pour reconnaître notre histoire et notre contexte francophone. Tout ce que nous avons accompli a été grâce à la nature accueillante des communautés qui nous entourent.
Notre expérience était beaucoup plus riche grâce à notre accessibilité à la culture française dans notre communauté. J'aimerais également féliciter tous ceux et celles qui ont obtenu leur diplôme dans leur seconde langue. Ce n'était sûrement pas facile, mais vous l'avez accompli avec la tête haute. We would also like to take this time to recognize every person who isn't graduating, but who played an instrumental part in us even being here today.
Thank you to every staff member for ensuring this campus ran as smoothly as possible, to the faculty for your commitment and unwavering belief in our class. Thank you to the locals and businesses of Lennoxville for tolerance as we descended upon the town each year. And a special mention goes out to the Domino's delivery drivers who arguably provide the most valuable service.
And finally, to our poor parents who shipped us off to a school in a town we like to call Lennox Vegas. Look, Ma, wasn't it worth it?
It's been so long since we first stepped foot on campus, and now we're finally back. Even though we've left, changed, grown, the red bricks still tower over the Massawippi. They still welcome us home. What a year it's been as we've raced off into new lives, new identities, and look how many of us returned. A year ago we graduated. We dispersed into the world, little flashes of bishop's purple in the workplace, at home, within new institutions. Remember where you were a year ago and what mattered then. The exams, the papers, the final presentations that seemed all-consuming. They seem almost quaint this far gone, don't they? Every late-night study session that turned into morning, every sprint to the printer before class, every job worked and every drop of caffeine consumed, every tear shed and every grade earned. Now it all seems so distant. Something, though, something about this place and these people rallied us back. Something about being a Bishop's graduate binds us together in some unshakable, unbreakable way.
When I look back at our time here, I can't help but feel a wave of emotions as I reflect on where we started versus where we are now. I personally remember moving into Res, shout out Nopo, and there we go, and being pumped that I was leaving home and getting all the freedom in the world. And a week later, I remember crying every single night because I was so homesick. And on top of that, Dewey's did not compare to my nonna's homemade pasta. I also remember thinking high school was a breeze, so university must be easy. And then I tanked my first few classes, and I wondered if university was even for me. And while some of these lessons were tougher than others, in just a few weeks, this place quickly became a home away from home. BU allowed us to grow, excel, and learn so much about ourselves as individuals. Like many of you, a few months prior to graduating, I started thinking about what I wanted to do next. I debated, should I travel for 6 months? Should I pursue a master's? Do I enter the workforce? And while all these questions continuously popped in my head, one thing I knew for sure was that whatever I did choose had to have a little bit of Bishop's in it. Now, finding whatever I was looking for was much easier said than done. I had such high expectations, and I wanted to replicate everything I had here. For instance, case competitions made me want a role that allowed me to develop strategies and solve problems. Joining CASA in the EDI task force showed me how to use my voice to teach others, there we go, EDI, teach others the importance of equity, diversity, and inclusion. And being part of athletics taught me that working toward a collective goal gave me a sense of purpose. All these experiences were parts of BU that shaped me, and naturally, I wanted to take them with me into my next chapter. And while I did find a role that I love, I quickly realized that finding something that replicates Bishops to a T was going to be a never-ending chase. The harsh reality is that we probably won't find another Bishops again. But the silver lining is knowing that there are elements of BU everywhere we go, because BU isn't just a place, BU is a fire within us.
In my own steps beyond Bishops, I'm pursuing a master's degree. In doing so, I've come to realize how special Bishops truly is, especially as a Maple Leaf school. When we say we're student-centered, we mean it. One example from my own time here was being part of the online learning and technology consultant program. As students helped with the shift to online learning in the pandemic, Bishops recognized the value of student voices in instructional design. That program is just one facet of the Bishop's experience that has shaped how I move through a new institution, new classrooms, and professional relationships. Over and over again, Bishops told us that what we say matters and gave us the confidence and the platform to exercise that voice. It helped to make us brave. Looking back, we know that the Bishop's experience is a collection of things. The late-night pasta station at Dewey's, studying in the LLC, coat check at the gate, the music that plays in the gym before exams. It is Donald lectures and department parties. Bishops is the walk home from the Lion, the walk to the gym. It's floats and the never-ending parade of costumes. Bishops is Winterfest and Eco Week, research labs, and a miniature horse for Mental Health Week. It was knowing what all your neighbors' living rooms looked like, conversations with professors that happened anywhere and often with a beer. It is walking under the arches. The Bishops experience is a collective one. Bishops was where we learned how to ask the right questions. We learned and we grew up, and in doing so, we cultivated our voices that are defined by hope. Our class has survived the pandemic, several floods, too many fires, endless construction, and the closure of the gate. Through all this, we leaned on each other until we found the strength in ourselves.
Now, the odd part about giving this speech a year later is that we've officially been slapped in the face by the reality that is life after Bishops. And one thing I will say is that life after Bishops requires way fewer fur coats and way more adulting, as well as no more sunrises on the Animal House roof and no more Sunday brunches at Pizzaville. And while this realization is much more bitter than sweet, this past year has allowed us to reflect on what life is like beyond this campus. The first thing I quickly learned is that very few people will actually remember every single thing you accomplished in university and beyond. The titles and the awards are merely labels. It is how you treat people that has the greatest impact. And life is not only about what you want to be, but more importantly, who you want to become, which has made me so appreciative for BU's emphasis on genuinely getting to know individuals for who they are. The second thing I realized is that our underdog mentality is like no other. And not a single person in this room can convince me that McGill or Concordia has school spirit like we do. I don't know what was in the water here, but it just felt like anything was possible. From the men's basketball team winning the championship against a school with 40,000 more students than ours, to those of you in this room who would organize fashion shows that would fill Centennial. It would all be done with such ease. And as I look at you all today, I hope we never lose that spark of confidence that we gained here on this campus. The third thing is we developed this curiosity and zest for life that runs so deep. Don't get me wrong, we worked extremely hard to be here today. But we'd be lying if we said we didn't have an absolute blast along the way. As we get older, it can be really easy to get caught up in the mundane tasks of our day-to-day life, but I'm extremely optimistic that all of us in this room will hold on to our desire for adventure for a very long time. And finally, I realized it's perfectly fine to be content with where you are now without knowing what's to come. While I'm sure we've all faced the never-ending cycle of wondering what big milestone we have to hit next and comparing ourselves to our peers, life is far too challenging for external rewards to define us. The joy is in the journey. And we're currently in a phase where all of our stories will differ, but now is the time to embrace the process of our search without succumbing to the pressure of the result.
We know what Bishops meant to us, still means to us, as we all came back today to prove. Bishops is so much more than a one-liner in a bio. To many of us, our time here represents formative years that fundamentally altered how we operate in the world. The sentence, "I got my degree at Bishops University," may seem small on paper, but to everyone in this room, it says so much more. It tells about our grit, our spark, our sense of community, and our dedication to joy. Wherever we may be in our lives now, we will never truly graduate. We carry our hope, our empathy, and our resilience through everything we do because we are Bishops. Whether your purple spirit manifests as a call to excellence or to quiet contemplation or a network of lifelong friends, a part of Bishops belongs to you now. You are marked by it. May we as a class commemorate that the serendipity of our time at Bishops has ended, and may we as individuals celebrate as we strike out into the world beyond our bubble. As we stand here today, for the second time victorious, let us look back with fondness on our time together and rush into our glorious futures. It's time.
Now, when I look at everyone in this room, I truly do see a powerhouse of brilliant minds who will change the world in impactful ways. And before we walk off this stage and stay up until sunrise in denial that this is it, I want to leave you all with one last point. People in this life are going to do extraordinary things, so why can't that be us?
Congratulations, class of 2021. We are now alumni.